This week's Crossover Thursday episode of Locked On Eagles and Locked On Commanders is brought to you by PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app. Use the code Locked On NFL, all lowercase, to win $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. We appreciate PrizePicks because it's a lot of fun to play and because they're paying us to. So, Louie, 3 things that the Philadelphia Eagles and Washington Commanders must do. I've already given away one of mine, but everybody's going to have to wait for my other 2. What are the 3 things that the Eagles got to do to clinch the NFC East division in front of the Northwest Stadium crowd?
Which, by the way, is still insane that a team in the NFC East has not repeated as division champs since 2004, and that will yet again be the case this year. I spoiled one earlier. I think stopping Jaden Daniels outside of structure is going to be really, really important. I think that's one thing the Eagles' defenses struggle with a bit is when they get pressure on mobile quarterbacks, getting them down initially. If he starts breaking tackles, getting loose, that's when Terry McLaurin can break free deep. Brian Robinson as well getting involved in this. I think that's the second thing. Limit Brian Robinson. That run game is the bread and butter of the Commanders' offense, kind of like it is for the Eagles with Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. So if they can win that matchup and limit Brian Robinson again and force Jaden Daniels to have to throw the football, especially from behind, that's a good blueprint. And I think the number 3 thing, one thing for the Eagles offense, stay balanced. Again, you got to commit to the run game, but I think last week, the success they had through the air, it's important to keep that momentum going into the playoffs. You want to be multiple. So I think don't overcommit to one thing, running the ball or passing. You also want to keep Saquon Barkley healthy for the postseason. He's taken a lot of hits and he's really been working over the last 2 months. I mean, touched the ball more than any running back in football. So keep him healthy, and I think staying balanced is important too.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll tell you something that's going to prevent the Eagles potentially from staying balanced to a certain extent, especially in the pass game on either side of the field, is the presence of Marshawn Lattimore. The New Orleans Saints got their first look at the new Commanders cornerback. Of course, they know Marshawn Lattimore very well, and they proceeded to target him 0 times on 29 coverage snaps the Lattimore had against the New Orleans Saints. So it was very, very heavy sign of respect that the Saints gave to the cornerback that they had just traded. So I'm really interested to look at how Jalen Hurts comes out and attacks Marshawn Lattimore, because, I mean, Marshawn is going to be on one of his top receivers. And, both of those receivers are going to be like, look, I know that Marshawn's him, but I'm him too. And you need to throw me the ball and trust me to make a play. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe Marshawn can reignite the A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts hate each other conversation after this week. We'll see.
I hope not. Do not want to cover that again.
I hear you. For the Commanders, 3 things. Obviously, again, contain Saquon Barkley. And Louis, you mentioned it. You gave the Commanders defense a hat tip, and I'm glad you did that because I'm going to do that as well. Look, overall in the game, if you're stat scouting, Saquon Barkley had 5.6 yards per carry against the Washington Commanders. You said it's a terrible run defense showing by the Washington Commanders. However, first 24 carries, Saquon Barkley averaged 3.5 yards per carry. That is very good against a guy like Saquon Barkley, and well below the 4.76 yards per carry the Commanders defense is giving up per run right now overall for the season. 24 carries, 84 yards before he busted out for 62 yards and 2 touchdowns on 2 carries to end.
Tends to be the way it goes.
End that game. Yeah, and look, that's what Dan Quinn said too on Wednesday. He said, look, the best players in NFL history always turn it up in the fourth quarter. So the Washington Commanders defense has to turn it up in the fourth quarter. It's not enough to stop him for 60 plays. You've got to stop him for 62 if that's how many they run, obviously. Number 2, force the Eagles in. We talked about it again. Vic Fangio doesn't want to stack the box. You've got to make him stack the box. How do you do that? Brian Robinson Jr. and that run game. That offensive line, Louis, not happy after that Eagles game, nor should they have been because they got their butts kicked. Number 3, paint by numbers. That number is number 17. Continue to move Terry McLaurin around. We screamed for it during the Eagles game, after the Eagles game. Finally, it's happening. Get Terry away from Quinn. You know what? I don't even want to see
from
Terry
Guantanamo Bay
on the left side. I don't even want to see him lined up on the left side. Give that rookie all the respect in the world.
That was probably Q's best game of the year for sure.
Absolutely. But and he had some help. And that's the thing. Again, we talk about non-spotlight players, right? CJ Gardner-Johnson had a hand in that. Zach Bond had a hand in that. Like, obviously, Vic Fangio had a big hand in that. So paint by numbers, get number 17 going, most likely by getting him away from Quinyon Mitchell as much as possible. Those are 3 things the Commanders got to do to get a win.
No, I'm looking at that matchup too. I mean, Quinyon Mitchell had such a good game, but if McLaurin moves around, he might get some matchups against Darius Slay, Cooper DeJean. This is going to be a good chess match. It's not just important for the Eagles to win this one to get the 1 seed, but David, I think too for Washington, they've beaten a lot of like good or like okay teams, not great teams this year. But if they get this one, like that's a signature win. That's a huge confidence boost heading into the postseason to know like, hey, we can hang with the best of the best in this conference. So it's an important game for both. And I mean, technically the division's still up for grabs. So that's still something to fight for too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, Dallas Cowboys could do the unthinkable in week 17. The New York Giants could. Nah, bro, that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
but,
probably.